Hi, so today I'm gonna draw some cool sharks, because I love sharks, and who doesn't love sharks? So I'm gonna draw some sharks and talk about shark facts, because sharks are cool. So the first shark I'm gonna draw is called the thresher shark. The thresher shark's claim to fame is its tail. So the tail is as long as the rest of its body, so half of its length is just the tail. It uses the tail as a whip to stun its prey before it eats it, and it mainly eats tuna and mackerel, and occasionally seabirds, since they like to jump out of the water a lot. The largest one that was ever found was 6 meters long, so that's about 20 foot. They live about 22 years in the wild. Okay, so the next one is the basking shark. Now, I really love the name of this one because it likes to swim near the surface. People said it looked like it was basking in the sunlight. And in Ireland and Scotland, it was originally called a sunfish, but they changed the name to basking shark because there was another creature called the sunfish. So these are pretty big boys. The maximum one was 32 feet in length, but the average is around 20 to 26 feet. They normally weigh between 3,000 and 6,000 kilograms. Although they look quite intimidating since they're quite big and they got that big wide mouth, they are filter feeders, so they just swim along with their mouth open catching plankton, and then the gills filter out the excess water. And it has really prominent gills to filter out water that it swallows. When their mouths are closed, they do look quite generic, and they can be easily mistaken for other types of shark, but because other sharks that look similar aren't usually filter feeders, they don't have the big gills, so that's one of the ways that you can identify them. Okay, so next up is a goblin shark. I can't say he's the most handsome of all the shark. He has a face only a mother could love. It's a deep water shark, so it dwells on the seabed in the deep waters, obviously, clues in the name. It feeds on fish, mollusks, and crabs. It's no threat to humans whatsoever. It not only doesn't have an interest, but also humans don't tend to go that deep down in the water, so there's no point in which the two would really cross over. So the goblin shark, because it's a deep water shark, it has really bad eyesight, like most deep water fish, because there's no light, so they just don't really need sight, they rely on their other senses. The largest one ever found was 12.6 feet long. It was first found in Japan in 1898, and it was named, the Japanese for Tengu shark, and Tengu was this half-man, half-bird demon that lives in Japanese folklore. So the Western version of it was a goblin, so then it became known as the goblin shark. It's like a pinkish colour in real life because its blood vessels are really close to the surface of the skin, so it makes its skin look red because in deep water, red light rays don't really reach the bottom, so anything that's red that's in deep enough water will appear almost invisible, so it's a way of camouflage. The mouth kind of looks like a beak, and it can extend outwards independently from the rest of the body, so it can just swim along and then the beak kind of reaches out to grab at the food, so it hasn't got as much time to get away as it might think. But yeah, goblin sharks are pretty cool. It's a shark with a beak. How many of them do you really find? Okay, so the next one is probably most people's favourites. It's called the whale shark. No, the whale sharks are just big old fish swimming around quite happy. They're no threat to anyone. You see pictures of divers swimming with them quite often because they're just really peaceful. They're just very docile. So the most well-known fact about the whale shark is that it's the biggest known fish in the ocean. There are bigger creatures, obviously. The blue whale is the biggest thing, but that's a mammal, so it's not a fish. The whale shark is the biggest fish. It likes warm, tropical waters. It's also a filter feeder like the basking shark, so it just eats plankton. Another interesting thing about them is that because it is a fish, they lay eggs, but the eggs hatch inside the mother, so whale sharks give birth to live young. Now, a few other sharks do this, but I think whale sharks are pretty impressive because it was once recorded that a single shark gave birth to 300 live young at once. And he thought having twins was bad. They are really old. They can live to be really old as well. They can live to be 100 to 150 years. They can grow to 46 feet, which is huge, and it lives up to the name of being the biggest fish. That's about 14 meters, and they weigh about 12 tons. They have about 3,000 teeth, but like the basking shark as well, because they're filter feeders, they don't use the teeth for feeding. They're also really slow, which they just kind of look like they're big creatures bumbling about in the ocean. But they only travel about 5 miles per hour. Another reason why there's a lot of good photographs of them, because people can actually keep up with them. Some sharks can ridiculously fast. Like the mako shark, I think it's the fastest one. And no one knows how fast it goes because it keeps overtaking the speedboats that try to measure its speed. So far, no one has found its limit. So the last one is the saw shark. Now this one's also a deep water shark. So there is a difference between the saw shark and the sawfish, and I'm still not quite sure what the difference is myself, even though I researched it. But I'm going to focus on what I found about the saw shark. So the saw shark, again, likes tropical waters, even though it lives deeper down. It has 13 to 14 teeth on each side of its snout, which looks like a chainsaw, and they alternate in size, so it does go big tooth, little tooth, big tooth, little tooth. It uses its snout to kill its prey by moving it quickly from side to side, so it kind of slices it in midair before it even eats it, which is very sophisticated for a fish. They normally eat small fish and invertebrates that live at the bottom of the sea. They grow to around 5 foot, so they are the smallest shark that I've drawn so far. They weigh around 18 or 19 pounds. This is another one that the eggs hatch inside the female, so they give birth to live young again. The young are born with their teeth folded in as well, so that it doesn't hurt the mother, which is a pretty handy trick that evolution has given them, because that could be quite painful. They only live about 15 years in the wild. So they are the smallest and also the youngest. They're just the little babies, slightly terrifying looking babies of the sea. All of these, I'm going to call this series of pond sharks because I just think that's really cute, and I love drawing flowers on everything. So it seemed like a good fit. So all of these will be available as prints on my store, and I'll put the link in the description. But yeah, I might make stickers of them as well in the future, even though they'll have to be like quite big stickers to fit on all this detail. I kind of went a bit crazy. I hope you are able to understand me through the coughing fits. Hopefully my editing tricks will make it slightly easier to understand. But yeah, I really enjoyed making this video because I love my sharks and I love my facts, and this was just 2 of my dreams combined. And I hope you enjoyed it enough to stick around for the next one. So, bye!